thank you for joining me today for our Friday sketch video. And we're going to be using, again, the May kit from Scrapbooking with Me. And we're going to be using this Sweet Stop sketch that I found on Pinterest. It's SSS 142. And once again, we're going to be using one with no measurements already pre-done on it. Now, to me, this card, and I got the image up here in the upper left, was more of a square card shape. And whenever I do a square card, I like to make it 5.5 by 5.5. And so then my mat, my base, the brown that I'm putting down now after I change my ATG gun, is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. And then the pattern paper is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So that's the base card, the mat. So that's that one. The square card itself is 5.5 by 5.5. The mat is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. And then the pattern paper, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Since this one was a different size card than we normally do, that's why I decided to write it down on the paper and then show it to you, because ultimately I'm going to be covering that side up is going to be attached to the actual card base, so you're not going to see all the writing anyway. So for this one, I originally wrote it on the pattern paper, but the mat is 2 3/8 by 5 1/8, and then the pattern paper is 2.5 by 5. Did I do that right? Yes. I think I meant 2 1/4 for the pattern paper, because if it was 2 3/8 on the mat, it would have to be shorter, not longer. Sorry about that, you guys. So instead of 2.5, it's actually, I made it 2 1/4 for the pattern paper. The mat is the correct size. Okay, so the mat for this square piece is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and then the pattern paper is 4 by 4. And I think with doing it this way for the 5.5 by 5.5 card, it actually makes it a pretty decent size. We're just going to attach it same way that we always do, with the ATG tape and the art glitter glue, giving us time to kind of move stuff around and make sure it's nice and even. And now I'm doing my ribbon. And for this one, instead of doing it where I tie underneath and make a knot, which you can tie it that way and make a bow, I'm actually going to make my bow separate. And then I'm going to attach it using glue dots. And you can see here, like, I'm trying to do it while attached to the actual card base. I didn't like how it was turning out, so I'm going to go back to my other way. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my card base to our card here. So that way it's going to be a top folding card. And then I'm going to focus in on the focal image. Now, a lot of times I just use pattern paper and then like either cardstock or something like that, but I decided I wanted to not do anything difficult or very intense, but I just wanted to do some marker coloring. So I'm using this Altenew stamp. It's, I want to say it's called Lilies. I don't have it right in front of me, but I'm stamping it twice so that way there's a nice image, sharp black image, because I decided to use, I had gotten from scrapbookingwithme.com the Hero Arts Intense Black ink, and it's supposed to be like a hybrid ink, and you're supposed to be able to use your alcohol markers. So I'm just grabbing a few of the Spectrum Noir markers, and I'm going to just color it in really quick. I'm not worried about doing the 3 different shades. You can do that, but sometimes you just want to throw some color down, call it done, and be done, you know. If you're wanting to try and practice on that kind of stuff, then yes, you can get 3 shades of green, 3 shades of the pink, and you want to go light, medium, and dark. And usually when you're just starting out, you always start with the light and then add your medium, add your dark, and then work your way backwards. So after you add the dark, go back to medium, and then go back to light, and you get a nice even blend. And it does matter to the type of paper that you use, because the alcohol markers, they do saturate, and so you just want to make sure you're using good quality paper when you are doing it. So now we're just coloring in the rest of the flower. And then I decided that for the inside, I wanted to use a kind of a brighter yellow. And then I'm also going to grab a gray to kind of go around the image, just to give it like a little bit of a highlight. And it has more of a bluish tint to it. This color it's yeah. It turned out really nice, and it's light, and it's not very intense when you're done. And at the very end, when I share the photos, there is going to be a photo where it shows the different numbers for the Spectrum Noirs that I use. You can pause and write those numbers down, and if you wanted to, you could use them on a future project as well. So now that I have that finished, I decided I was going to just do a little sentiment right on the actual image. And after doing all your coloring, it is kind of dangerous to just go ahead and stamp on top of your card, because if you get it crooked or mess it up, it could be, yeah, I would try and figure out a way to fix it for sure. But it actually went on nice and straight, and I loved how it turned out. So I'm just going to add some foam tape and attach this to the card front. Now, mind you, at this point, I already know I'm going to attach my bow separate, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and put my image on. If I needed to use that space to be able to get my bow right, then I would have waited. But since, you know, like I said, I'm just going to attach it with the glue dots, I figured it didn't matter. I can go ahead and put my image on, and then that way I can see how big or how small I need to make the bow. And then there you have it. And I'm just going to grab, I think I use my mini glue dots, so I do wind up putting 2 on the back of the bow and then attaching it to the card that way. You can use glue, just keep in mind that sometimes it takes a little bit for the wet glue to dry, okay? And there you have it. There's your card. And then I'm just trimming a little bit of the end on the one side, and then of course the other side to match, because I didn't want too much of it hanging off the edge. Now, the best part is I have a bunch of 6x6 envelopes, and that's really why I tend to do the 5.5 by 5.5 more often than not, because then I know for sure that my card is going to fit. And those envelopes I actually got from scrapbookingwithme.com as well. So if there's any left in the store, I will put a link down below. If you don't see a link, then they're no longer there, so I wasn't able to link it for you. But definitely keep an eye out, because things are always changing when it comes to craft supplies. So sometimes, unfortunately, stuff does go pretty quick, but this was fun. You can do this with stuff in your own stash. And if you don't have any envelopes already made, I'm sure if you have the Martha Stewart punch or the envelope board from We Are Memory Keepers, you can make your own envelope to go with your card. So once again, thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And of course, I will always have the links to scrapbookingwithme.com. And when you go to checkout there, you can use my coupon code TT15 to get an additional 15% off on anything that's not already discounted. Thanks, you guys, and have a great day.